X, and he's done a whole bunch of really cool stuff. But he has this whole really awesome thing about rapid prototyping, and it's this one of the main things that he says there is like test, don't guess. So if you don't have data to prove that you're right, then get out of my face, right? like test, don't guess. We don't guess. We don't have guess-a-thons. We don't have meetings that are like 45 minutes long where we just like go around and around and around, and eventually the loudest person wins. Come to me with data or with actual evidence that your idea is good, and then we can talk. And so I was pretty good at like being like, they would say, well, I think it's good to do this, and I'd be like, well, where's your proof? I'd be like, I don't have any. I'd be like, okay, well, let me prove it for you. Give me a week.
Yeah.
I'll go out. I'll figure out a way to test out, the core parts of your idea, and then I'll come back to you to tell you whether it's a good idea or not. I'll have proof.
Yeah.
Like, okay, see you next week. So that was pretty awesome. And then I would say, after about a year or so of that, then there was a whole bunch of other like big corporate shenanigans that went on. So Verizon had bought AOL, Verizon then Yahoo, and combined Yahoo and AOL into a company that should have been called Yahoo. But nobody listens to me.
No, I know. That's
but they went with Oath, which also doesn't make
any sense.
Now
Yahoo is so much better.
They've literally rebranded it like in the last 3 or 4 months to be Verizon Digital Media Services, which actually is what it is. So it's like, wish you started there. But anyway, so then there was just a lot of stuff going on with that, with combining two companies that basically did exactly the same thing. So both AOL and Yahoo, like AOL, it's crazy. They actually own like the Huffington Post, they own TechCrunch, they own MapQuest, they own a ton of stuff AOL owns. And, and Yahoo owns a ton of stuff too. So Yahoo owns a bunch of content stuff. They own Tumblr. They own all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't even think. And so both of the businesses had this sort of like ad tech component and then a whole huge like content side. And so then they went, so I was firmly on the like ad tech side of things. And then they went through this huge exercise to try and combine all of the tech from both companies into a single stack so that it would, not have a ton of duplication. Yeah. And during that process, there just wasn't a ton of room to really push the envelope or make too much noise, honestly. Yeah. And so I ended up getting pretty bored and eventually ended up volunteering for a layoff last year. So there was they were doing rounds of layoffs every couple of months, and it was I finally was like, please
lay me off.
Please lay me off, for God's sake, please. I'd love to, and it actually worked out perfect. It was the best thing ever. Because we had just bought this house, that I'm in right now. And so I ended up getting to, like literally physically move all of our stuff into this house from our old house. And like, I got to do we were renovating it for a long time. And so I ended up getting to like finish it up so that we could live here and just swinging hammers for a couple months, which was great. Kind of felt like I was getting back to, I spent, 10, 15 years just doing like computers. Yeah. It was nice to be like, oh, I got my hands dirty again. Like I literally am disgusting. I need to take a shower, and I haven't felt this happy in a long time. You know what I mean? And so it was really, really cool. And then I got the old house ready to sell, and then sold it. And then I was like, okay, now I need to make money some more. Yeah. all of my, my sweet, like layoff ride, that's over. It's time to like contribute again to family and society. So I decided to, I was like, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tap into some contacts and see who needs what. And like, initially I went out with this whole plan that I was going to create a company that would, basically provide the same service that I was providing to those like exec level people to whoever. So my plan was to sort of, if you have a startup idea, or you want to, you need to vet your plan before you like put your whole life savings into it or whatever.
Right.
I could help you, get some actuals about things. So either build some little prototypes, that would just be sort of front end. They wouldn't be very, it's mostly digital products, obviously, but, cause since I worked in mobile forever, everyone's always like, oh, I have this app idea. I've got a great idea for an app. Let me tell you about it. And I would always be like, all right, well, you in, I'm in. We're going to test it out. Yeah. I'm like, but I'm not going to, they'd be like, can you build it for me for $3? And I'd be like, neither of those answers are you going to like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I was going to make this, I was going to sort of help test ideas and help bring user testing into processes way earlier. People to not be so scared about how important user testing is. Like, you don't have to just, until you show it to someone, another Tom Chi thing is until your loop length, like the distance of time between when you show somebody, when you have actual results, and when you make changes, like, needs to be as short as possible. How do we get you as close to a reasonable version of success as possible before you really start? So, I sort of went in with that mindset of, okay, I'm going to go, so I'm tapping into some of my like, sort of startup communities and trying to, I was really, really, super, enamored with blockchain. I still am. I think it's so flippin' cool. And so I was doing a bunch of research on blockchain and trying to go out and find these sort of like, crypto companies or like blockchain based companies that were doing cool stuff to kind of say, hey, can I help you, prototype some things out? And in the meantime, I then had a bunch of people from my old job contact me and be like, hey, can I pay you to do this graphic design stuff? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So then I was just kind of making websites for people and making, and it's actually been really fun. I've gotten to like, it's an interesting, I've been on sort of the other side. I've been on like, let me help 500 companies think of 500 different things in 2 weeks. As opposed to like, okay, now we got one company. How do we make it be awesome? Or how do we, like, their product is pretty cool. Yeah. It's pretty complicated. How do we show people that it's that awesome when it's, kind of complicated? So it's been a really kind of different challenge, but really interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty good about life. Oh, and I have this, so then now I'm in this weird situation where I'm having a good time freelancing. Okay. And then I had this person reach out and I am being recruited for this job at a major utility company. And, and it would be running a creative team, which would be something I could, that I'm kind of would be excited to do because I miss people. It's pretty much me and my cat here most of the time, and then my kid and my wife, and then it's back to me and the cat. Yeah. She's a great cat, but her water cooler dog is really boring. She just looks at me like, give me food. So I've been kind of, trying to figure out how to get to, I'm also having a lot of issues where my wife will come home and I'll be like, tell me everything that happened to you today. And she's just like, take a deep breath. psycho, like back up. And so I've realized that I need to figure out some way to get a little more personal interaction with other human beings during the day.
Sure.
And so getting a regular old job might be an easy way to do that.
Yeah.
And so I've been going back and forth about it to see whether, because I've now had 5 interviews with them. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one in consideration at this point, because no one else would have hung in this long. Had a real job or, really needed a job at this point would have left a long time ago. So, I'm in this weird spot of like, do I stop this thing that I'm really enjoying? Mm-hmm. I really enjoy the flexibility. I enjoy like today was President's Day. My kids' daycare was closed. Like I didn't have to talk to anybody about it. I just played with her all day.
Right.
And that was awesome. So it's, but on the other hand, like I really need to get out of the house. Mm-hmm. and it's also like if I'm having a weird, like I feel like on a creative level right now, part of being here in my house all the time, and having this sort of freelance business is that I'm working all the time. So I never really stop working. And so then I haven't, had any time that I felt like I could do the creative stuff that I actually, my personal artistic stuff. Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten to, I used to, when I was, had a real job, like I used to, it was like I would work all day on the computer, and then when I was done, I would go home and I would be, in my basement working on stuff, or like on my sewing machine, or like make it, I don't know. I did a lot of baking for a while. Baking seems to be pretty good. I don't know. I can make I'm pretty good at pastries at this point. Anyway. So but yeah, I just like, I find now that I'm just tired, I'm just here, and I'm like, when I look at the kitchen, I don't think like, ooh, what could I make today? I think like, I got to clean that up before they get home. And then it's like, once everybody goes to sleep, I need to get another 2 hours in on this project, and because people need it. And
yeah.
And so
does that remind you of your theater days right now? Is that
it feels
what's kind of happening?
Yeah, it feels kind of like that. And it feels, there's some interesting parallels in that there's always the show must go on, right? Like there are deadlines and they have to be hit. And then it's also, I guess, it does have the same sort of feeling of like, I am the only one responsible for X, Y, and Z. And if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. Mm-hmm. And if I don't do my part, it's actually going to have consequences.
Yeah.
And not just for like me personally, like, oh my, but it would have like legitimate consequences on these businesses if they went out and looked like, if they went out and put some of the decks out there that they've been putting out before they showed up, there's legit consequences, for that sort of behavior.
Yeah.
And so that's, but then this like, just working my butt off, is another, thing that reminds me of theater days of like, and also this concept of like, of what is the value of creative work, right? Like how do you value it? And
so how do you value your creative work?
Well, I put together this, I read this book, and now I'm not going to remember what the book's called, because that's
how it works usually.
If I think of it later, I'll email you and be like, this is what I want. But it basically was like, here's how you need to figure out how much money you should charge per hour. Is you should figure out like how much money do you want to make a year, that'll cover everything you want to do. And then